I'm Phil. I'm Nilden.
I'm Razz.
I'm gonna bust his ass.
I'm Brandon.
Slide jobs by the dozen out here.
Hello, this is Thomas.
Here. Pisser.
I'm John.
Sit down the back straightaway for the final time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
And welcome to the Dirty Sliders Podcast. Stay sideways. All right, y'all. Welcome in episode number 70. I'm back. I've been gone for a few episodes. I'm excited to be back. We'll be working on the race car. We got things where we want them, I believe. I'm excited to be with the boys again. We are down to 3 versus the 6, but it's okay. The other 3 have important things in their life going on, and we understand that. We support them like they support us. So with that, we're going to kick it off with Razz. He's got some Safety 101 with Razz.
Well, this has been I'm beating this dead horse again, and to me it's a big deal. Why are we crippling race car drivers? It's getting really bad. So the latest one was Anthony Macri, who had a fairly innocuous flip. Let me pull this up.
A flip, a spin, a hit, a bounce. Nothing crazy.
As usual, we're very, very technological here.
We are very technological. We have all the tools. We just don't know how to use them. That's the problem. And you know, should be better at prepping stuff.
Yeah, there's a very, very distinct possibility.
Or get better at telling jokes while we try to prep stuff. One or the other.
The jokes that we've got might get us banned from YouTube.
Okay, so here it is.
That's for the Patreon.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Right there, that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that last hit.
Like, none of that is nothing that we haven't seen 100 times, 1,000 times.
That.
Yep.
And it's not a crazy hit from a crazy height. It was a 5-foot fall.
I mean, that was from, maybe 8 feet in the air?
Well, no, but it was already sitting on the nose.
Yeah.
The nose is on the ground. It's not like he came down flat and pancaked from, 10 foot up.
Yeah, and so he had compression fractures from his T4 and T5 from that's probably going to put him out for the rest of the year. That's the same injury that Shane had, and a little bit more of a spectacular crash, but the same ending, that same flat on the frame rail, right down to the track. The same one with Chase Johnson, flat on the frame rails. That these are hits that we're seeing that should not be breaking drivers' backs, in my opinion. And
no,
we're not doing anything about it as a sport. And when I say we, I mean everybody, all racers, organizers, sanctioning bodies, car owners. We're just not making any changes. Anthony Macri does run the Chasm shock absorbing seat mount, which is to help, ideally help prevent stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not knocking the Chasm system. It's a great system, but everything has its limits.
Well, my question is, what would have happened without the Chasm?
Yeah.
So could have been even worse. Could have been even worse. For sure.
Well, at one point, between High Limit and World Outlaws last year, there was something like 12 or 14 big names out at once with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And something's got to give. Something's got to change. The NFL and college football, they were starting to turn their players' brains to mush, and they said, we're going to change this. They changed the helmet designs. They changed the rules as far as hits. Major League Baseball with impacts at home plate. Buster Posey was the final straw on that when he tore up his leg on a collision at home plate. So they changed the rules. Catcher can't block the plate without the ball. So, if it was any other sanctioning body, if it was any other sport, and we had a consistent record of the same type of injury over and over and over again, something would have been done. And why is racing exempt from that?
Because we're
It's
all
not
independent
exempt.
contractors.
I don't think
But
it's
Thomas,
I don't think it's exempt. I think it's just we accept those risks and we go with it anyways.
I think it's unacceptable that we should accept those risks. I don't think you should have the possibility of being crippled for the rest of your life because you're in a race car.
But we'll still strap in the next time we're going green.
Right. I don't know if I should share. Should I share the one that where Flea had his rant, or just read it?
Yeah, I just hit the cliff notes on it. It's pretty large.
There's no cliff notes. This is pretty long.
I'd say just read it out.
Yeah. So this is from Flea Rusic. Flea Rusic is a chassis. I won't say he's a manufacturer. He repairs chassis. He repairs everybody's chassis. He's known for a lot of midgets, but he does midget sprint cars like that. And this is a guy who's always been about safety. I like the guy. I respect the guy. He knows his stuff. And this is him on X, random thoughts. In 20 years of fixing crash race cars, I've had 2 that I've thrown away. Couldn't fix them because the damage was too deep. In the last 5 years, I have thrown away 5 or 6 cars a year. So call it 25 cars. Now, I'm not a fucking rocket scientist, but that is a pretty good spike in a graph. The damage is getting too deep in the cars for me to fix. Guess what else is sitting deep in that car? I'm not sure the years all this took place, but we have mandated 095 wall bottom rails, 083 wall hip rails, cage safety bars. We've switched from 1-inch lower seat bars to 1.25 lower seat bars. Now we couple that with stronger, stiffer seats, molded foam around the driver, ratchet strap seat belts. I'm not sure it's all working together. Obviously, it's not all working together when I think that last year we had like a dozen high-profile drivers injured at the same time. This goes on my earlier comment. Never in history do I recall that scenario where supposedly the safest we've ever been. When the car gets stiffer, the load's transferred deeper. When the seat gets stiffer, the body can't bend it to decelerate. When the seats are molded to fit the body can't wiggle in the seat. When the belts are ratchet tight, the body can't slide down in the seat, just a little to give or make room. When the body can't move left or right because it is contained within a tube, the force is all directed in an up and down motion within the tube. If the seat mounts compress a 1/2 inch in a downward hit, sure, it absorbs the initial blow, but does the system coil bind in the exact moment of peak G load in the body? Now, if the seats move and the belts loosen, what happens on the rebound? Does the body slam back up into the shoulder harness again? You ever see a mean dog at the end of his chain pulling, trying to get to you? A lot of force, but very comfortable to the dog. Now switch that to the dog running after you and reaching the end of his chain. It's rather violent and snaps the dog backwards with high forces on his body. Does the same thing happen when the body comes back after in contact with a loose shoulder harness? Does a 1-inch lower seat bar have just enough give and absorb it as opposed to a 1.25 bar? Are the seat mounting points getting too high in the car at the back left? At the back, letting the seat collapse. Hell, I don't know. And remember, there will always be what we call a 20-year crash that nothing's going to help. I encourage seatbelt manufacturers, seat builders, car builders, sanctioning bodies, drivers that crashed in the 90s and the 2000s, the 2020s, insert makers, helmet makers, floating seat system manufacturers, and anyone with general common sense to respond below. So doesn't have the answers. He's asking for the answers. He's pointing out that there's a problem. And then that brings to light another situation. Well, first, I'll let you guys comment on what he said there. What do you guys think?
It makes sense what he's talking about with the chassis being stiffer, how they the loads aren't transferring where they should, or there's not give where it should be give, and more of the impact is being transferred to the driver. I mean, if you make something that's a steel cage and the steel cage doesn't crumple, it's going to be a hell of a impact.
For years, a sprint car driver in a thin, kind of a garbage, thin aluminum seat, and that seat flexed all over the place. Is that a good thing or bad thing? Now these seats are super rigid. They're built super tough, and there's no give. So I think that I'm not saying go back to the crappy seats, but there has to be something that gives. The monster trucks ran into that problem where they were hurting drivers because of the seats. And, they switched seat styles and it has pretty much, made that problem go away.
Well, that's where the ratcheting seatbelts came from, was the monster trucks.
Yeah.
That's who actually got them first, was the monster truck guys, because, they're launching a 8,000-pound truck 80 foot in the air sometimes. But those things, they say they hate driving around the pits because they hurt every time they run over a 2x4 or something like that. Something little hurts.
Yeah.
Because the suspension's set so stiff to take those big hits.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's not a suspension problem with sprint cars or midgets. It's when it's coming down on the frame rails, just like we saw Anthony Macri just doing that crash. When it's frame rail to the track, there's nothing left to give. You've already used up all your suspension travel. So what's moving in that car? It's the driver,
Mm-hmm.
And we've got to bring that driver to a controlled stop.
Because what we're doing is not working.
No, for sure.
Because it's not old guys getting hurt. If it was, don't want to sound like an asshole, but if it was old guys getting hurt, well, you've been playing the game long enough. Stuff happens. I wake up sometimes and go, ugh, and I just slept wrong. So, getting old sucks. Yeah. But when you're hurting, 20-year-old guys, Shane was in his early 20s when he had his back injury.
He was 18, actually.
Yeah. So not even in his 20s yet. And we're already hurting their backs. So, there's an issue when that's happening. Because they have all the reasons to not be hurt.
Yeah, everybody knows when you're young, you bounce.
Yeah, and these guys aren't bouncing anymore.
No.
So, that's a big problem.
The answer is not, we can't go to a safer barrier. That's not practical. And that's not where this problem's coming from. Yeah, that's not where this problem's coming from. It's not hitting the wall, it's hitting the guardrails. It's when they come slapping down onto the racing surface like that. And I think, there are solutions, and I'm not an expert, and I'm not going to sit here and, propose those solutions we've talked about in the past. That I think we need to change the car. We need to make room for that driver to crack. But smarter guys than me, like Flea and Jerry Russell and other, race car, Schnee and those guys, the guys who've been building chassis for years, they need to speak up. But nothing's going to happen until something happens. Meaning we're going to have to kill somebody.
And I definitely don't like that idea.
Nope.
None of us like that idea.
We crippled Kevin Swindell. We didn't change anything. We crippled Chase Johnson. We didn't change anything. We nearly crippled Dason Pursley. We didn't change anything. Nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for something to change.
I'm with you 100%, dude. That's for damn sure. I'm not a smart enough person to say what needs to change, though.
No, but there's the National Sprint Car Council, and this article that I read in highspeeddirtmedia.com, they're basically saying that Flea's post was pretty much calling out the council. Respective voice in sprint car racing, Flea Rusic stirred conversation around the community today with a pointed post on X that's the one I just read, that got straight to the heart of ongoing safety concerns in the sport. Known for decades of hands-on experience across a wide range of team, cars, and drivers, Flea's opinion carries weight. His career has been built on precision, feel, and unmatched understanding. Unmatched understanding of what makes a sprint car both fast and safe. When someone with that level of credibility speaks up, all tend to listen. In his post, Flea didn't mince words. He raised concerns that reflect that many in the industry have been quietly saying there are not enough protective steps being taken when it comes to driver safety, especially in the wake of serious on-track incidents. His message was not just commentary; it was a challenge to the sports leadership to be more transparent, more responsive, and more accountable. Those concerns feel especially timely following the frightening crash involving Anthony Macri. Since that incident, even after our article published on Sunday calling for clarity and action, there has been a noticeable silence from the National Sprint Car Council. As of now, there has been no response, no calls for an investigation, no outline plan to review the crash, and no communication indicating intent to engage with teams, drivers, or officials. That absence of response is exactly the kind of gap Flea's message seems to highlight. Sprint car racing has always balanced on the edge, high speed, high stakes, and razor-thin margins for error. But with that comes a responsibility to evolve, especially with incidents like Macri's occur. This expectation from many within the sport isn't perfection, it's effort, transparency, and commitment in learning from every crash. Flea's words serve as both a warning and a reminder. The people who build, maintain, and race these cars aren't just chasing wins. They're trusting that the sport they love is doing everything it can to keep them safe. And the National Sprint Car Council was formed with the stated intent that, this was the type of thing they were going to be addressing, along with purses and rules and stuff like that. But I think safety has to be your number one priority.
Sure.
I wonder if he was wearing one of those FIA data recorders.
I don't know. He's posted from his hotel room that, he's going to be back and all that. If he's wearing a brace, it's, going from here and holding his chest, and, he's all but in a body cast, basically.
Yeah.
So
Which is no
where
fun.
does the responsibility lie? Who's going to make that call?
I think if he was wearing one of those,
go with. Good.
I think if he was wearing, if his car had one of those data recorders attached to it, that's a good starting point, because they, like Chasm puts these seats in those, the jig, and then they crash them down and measure G-forces and all that stuff. But getting actual data from an actual wrecked Herta driver, I think that's the best way. Start from there.
The Chasm seat the absorption system and the monkey bar system, I think, are great steps in the right direction. But does that open another can of worms? Because if you're allowing the seat to move independently of the belts, there's a potential for a problem. And Flea touched on that. Does your seat compress and then rebound, smashing you against your belts? And I don't see how it cannot. You have
It's got to.
Well, there's
energy has to go somewhere.
There's, I believe, a seat manufacturer who has made a Chasm style system with the belts attached to the Chasm itself. So when the seat flexes, the belt flexes with it, and it stays tight the whole way through. You don't lose tension.
Yeah, there's one where I think the belts are essentially mounted to the seat now instead of the cage, right?
Yes.
Well, so NASCAR at the cup level allows two different seats. They allow the aluminum formed seats, the Joy of seatings, and the other ones like it, and then they have the carbon fiber seats that are in. Now, I believe on the carbon fiber seats, the belts are mounted to the seat. Am I wrong on that?
No, they're still mounted to the chassis as far as I've seen when they're doing pours and stuff. There's still seat holes or seat belt holes through the seat. Now, once they foam it and all that, it gets tight. Like clearance-wise, there's not a giant gaping hole once it's foamed, I don't think. But I believe the seat is still belts are still mounted to the chassis with a carbon fiber seat. I'll double check real quick.
I mean, it's okay. It's a dangerous sport. There's infamous Kenny Schrader quote, and I quoted it last week. You know, when they handed me a helmet and a fire suit, I was pretty sure it was going to be dangerous. You know, Brian Clausen died in a midget, and it had nothing to do with this type of crash. You know, he got hit in the greenhouse, a part of the cage, by another car. And you know, that's just, you have to have some openings in the car. You know, the guy's got to be able to get in and out. So there's always going to be that vulnerability there. They've added the so-called outlaw bar to keep penetration. You know, another car coming into the cockpit after a couple of incidents there. You know, but you know, where's the next step? What's going to have to happen before you know, like I said, we've already crippled people
many times.
Yeah. So, you know, what Ed,
And really, the carbon fiber seats are not new technology. I mean, they're a decade old now. They're carbon
Yeah, I
fiber
mean,
pour-in seats and all that.
they're fairly new to sprint car, and there's not a lot of carbon fiber seats out there. A lot of people are still running aluminum ones. You know, we had Carbon Kenny on here who talks about his seat, and he's been put in some dirt cars. The one that's being used in Cup is essentially made by Hendrix. They'll make it for anybody. That's not just their drivers, but you know, Hendrix developed that form, that mold, and you know, they make those carbon fiber seats. You know, the joy of seating seat, aluminum seat. His idea is a little bit different in that the butt part of the seat is round like your ass versus being a folded angular shape that sort of fits your ass. And he's, you know, credits that with, you know, stop keeping him from getting injured. I've sat in those seats. They feel way different. I've never actually raced in one. But it just makes sense that, you know, if you conform it to your body, it's going to be better.
I mean, you would think, because you have no voids. I mean, I know when we were doing the off-road stuff, I was surprised that the seats in the higher end cars and trucks were rigid, not bouncy. Because the more you stay with the seat, the less back injuries you get. But like, you know, a Volkswagen Bug, you're going to run a springy seat because you only got 5 inches of suspension travel to start with, and you're doing 60 miles an hour. But the Class 1 and the trophy trucks are now running a very similar to a pour-in style seat, where it's form fitting.
I mean,
you're in it tight. You're not wiggling around in the seat.
well, in the technology for decades for off-road racing was the Mastercraft suspension seat where the seat itself had a lot of give to it. But I think as the trophy trucks and Class 1s got a lot faster and faster, then that didn't make sense. And that's the question we haven't talked about with sprint cars and midgets. Is it because they're faster? Because we are faster. We're faster than we were 10 years ago. We're faster, 10 years ago we were faster than we were 20 years ago. They're just simply higher speeds.
If it was a high-speed hit, I'd agree with you. This wasn't a high-speed hit. It wasn't a crazy into the fence, you stopped instantly. You know, it wasn't crazy. It was an accident that could happen when, you know, you're on the green flag and you just ride up over a guy and endo it. It wasn't a crazy hit. It wasn't a speed-related hit.
Nobody hit him.
No, I mean,
Nobody ever hit him. You know, he tripped. There's this expression in the sprint car world, in midget world. He tripped over the right front. The right front compressed. The car tripped over it, got up on the guardrail, didn't really flip, kind of pirouetted on the nose, and then slammed down. We saw the video. Like I said, at that point, the nose of that car is touching the ground. That car's basically 10 feet long.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, from the axle to the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 foot off the ground?
Yeah. I mean, 6-8 feet. And then bam.
And it's that sudden stop that, I think is getting him.
Well, yeah, it's for sure. That's what got Shane. He said, I was fine until I hit the ground. Chase Johnson has released a video showing the crash that has him crippled, and I hate to. It's not really a derogatory term, but it's a fact. He's basically a paraplegic at this point. And he said nothing felt crazy until that last hit, and he goes, the pain was intense.
It's a horrific video because you get to hear the audio inside the car and everything.
Yeah. No, he was hurting. He was hurting. He knew it.
Yep.
Fuck it. The Kevin Swindell, they're saying that had he not been impatient and stayed in the car, he'd be walking today. But he refused to listen to the rescue personnel and the medical professionals on scene, and basically injured himself getting out of the car. He already had the injury, but it wasn't a spinal cord traumatic injury yet. But once he thrashed around and twisted around, and more than one person had said that to me.
Well, I mean, my mom was a nurse for many, many years, and way, way back, she used to go to the motocross tracks to be the on-site, medical. She watched a guy kill himself pulling his helmet off. He basically had a Dale Sr. He had a basic skull fracture from his wreck, and when he took his helmet off, he fell down dead. Because he didn't wait. He's like, I'm fine, I'm pissed, whatever. And,
Yeah, and I'm sure Kevin was pissed. But had he waited and let
the adrenaline come down a little bit.
Yeah, let him put him on a backboard and cut that car out from around him if they had to. He could have made a full recovery and still be walking today. Who'd have known? Because
didn't they take that point, this weekend? Didn't they take the car into the infield to cut it open to get him out?
They actually didn't cut it open. They took the wing off of it. They were holding his head steady. And
did they do it on track or in the infield though?
On track, right? They didn't move the car. The car stayed where it was. But anyway, they peeled the wing off the top of it. They had a guy holding his head the whole time. And then they evaluated him and got him out without putting a backboard in. I think they put one of those plastic foldable supports around.
What's it called? Keds.
Yeah. But
maybe that's something we need to look at too. Is do we need to move these cars to a better place to get these guys out instead of being a rush to get them off the track to get the show going? And every promo will say, no, take care of the driver, take care of the driver. I don't care. The same time he's going, how long is it going to take? How long are we going to take? How much longer? How much longer? How much longer?
By all accounts, they took their time and got him out of there. They had the life flight spooling up. And then once either in the process of getting him out of the car or once they got him out of the car, they decided that the life flight wasn't necessary and they transported him by ambulance.
Yeah, I'm just spitballing my head. Is maybe moving the car off the track surface while the driver is contained a better idea?
I don't see how it could be. That puts the driver at more risk to being moved around.
I'm not a rescue professional or expert, but it would seem like any movement would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're in the seat and you're belted in still, your seat is your backboard.
Yeah.
You're not moving. You're not jiggling. You're not anything.
Yeah, but you can still do this.
We're talking about. Gosh, I got a roll of duct tape says you can't.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean,
when we were talking about the monkey bars,
I've seen him do that.
Back to the monkey bars. He made his seat, his mounts, so you can take the seat out of the chassis with the driver in it.
Yeah.
You don't have to put a wrench behind the driver's back. Everything's from the outside. Everything's captured inside the seat. I'm just thinking out loud. I mean, I could be a total jackass and everything else, and think about
from
it
my
later,
point of view,
wrong.
if you need to cut that car into 3 pieces to get that driver out of there, then go ahead and do it. There's jaws of life at most tracks, and it'll cut through those chassis bars like butter.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, Sawzall works
at-
just as good.
Yeah, I was at Paris when Marcus Niemela broke a rear axle on his sprint car going into one at full boogie, and he went up into the fence, cage first, and they cut him out. They cut him out of that car, and that's the last time Marcus Niemela drove anything. He had severe brain injury because of that.
It just stopped.
Yeah, I mean, he basically head first into the fence it was a qualifying lap.
Mhm.
He was probably doing 120 when he hit the fence.
I'm just trying to think of. I mean, we need to figure out how to make it so the guys aren't blowing their backs out, so they can blow their wives back out. I mean, had to throw something in there. I mean, we're getting too serious here.
Yeah, there's something about that.
Because we definitely are hurting more guys, and I don't think it's just from social media that we're hearing about so many guys getting hurt. I think there's an actual increase in number.
Well, I mean, Tyler Courtney, Sunshine, out for 6 months with a back injury. Anthony Macri last year, towards the end of the season, he had a back injury at Vegas, I think, and he was out for several months. And that's just two I can think of. I mean, I'm sure if I'd actually done some homework for this segment and went through, I could come up with 15 guys probably.
Well, we have no idea where these things are going to go whenever we start. They have a mind of their own.
But I mean,
is it the stiffer, chassis rails that are causing it?
That seems to be what Flea was saying. Is that we're making the cars too stiff. One of the problems with a sprint car and a midget is that quick change differential is right underneath the seat, so that limits what can happen. And sometimes that is the problem. Sometimes it's the quick change coming right up into the bottom of the seat, and consequently
hitting your ass.
Transport. Yeah, hitting that driver right in the ass, which transfers to his spine.
I mean, talking about making a chassis too strong, take it to the mainstream, right? NASCAR with this new car they built made their chassis too strong, and Kurt Busch ended his career by tapping the bumper of his car
be the
off
only
the wall
one.
at Pocono.
Well, there's another very important driver that's been out with the twisties. With Bowman.
Yeah, Bowman. Yeah.
You can't tell me that's not head related from the hits he's taken.
They don't even know.
They're like, he's out.
Okay, so the East Coast asphalt super modifieds, that's the ones that they're all offset and everything.
Yep.
There for years in the 80s, they were killing drivers because the chassis were too strong. You'd see a crash and the car didn't look bad. The car looked like you could drive it away. And there'd be a dead driver sitting in the cockpit because the chassis were too strong, built to take all the cornering load, because we're talking about an asphalt super modified that's just flat boogieing. And so they built these things like bridges, and drivers couldn't survive the hits. So they changed the rules, and now a super modified has crush zones and everything built into it, so that lessens that input, and they're not killing drivers like they were.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of how do we mitigate the hit without just saying sprint cars are over. They're done.
That's not going to happen. Sprint cars and midgets are going to be around, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to the drivers saying, this has got to change, or I'm not getting in the car. And then it can't be one or two. It's going to have to be 30 or 40 saying, fix this, or we're going to quit. And I don't know if you're ever going to get that many drivers that organized.
Especially for their own health.
So if that's the case, then we need to protect the drivers from themselves. We need to find a way to keep the drivers safe. And so whose responsibility is it? Who's going to be the person to make that change? Is it going to be people like Flea? Is it going to be the chassis manufacturers? Is it going to be the sanctioning bodies? Is it going to be these, the National Sprint Car Council? Is it going to be USAC? Is it going to be High Limit? Who's it going to be? Your drivers and car owners are going to be resistant to it because they don't want to learn a new setup. They don't want to spend the money to do all new cars and go through all the development that it's going to take to take that new car design and make it fast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who's going to be resistant to it. And it's ironic is that the people that are most vulnerable to this problem are going to be the ones most resistant to change.
Well, it'll never be me.
Yeah.
No, that happened to him. It's not going to be me.
And I'm guilty of that. When I would see someone get hurt bad, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen to me. I'm different. I'm built different.
Yeah, not my fault. It won't be me.
It's just denial is all it is. It's like, that can't happen to me. When it's bullshit, it can happen to you.
Well, I mean, like we talked last week. We're dumb. We'll get in the car.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're not risk stupid. We're not risk adverse.
Do you know how to take a grown ass man and turn him into an idiot?
Put a helmet on him.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to beat this horse to death, but so if you're listening right and watching now, and you have an idea, post it up for sure.
No, I'm down for ideas.
I'd love to hear people's thoughts. And if you are any kind of racer or racing team owner or chassis builder or whatever, and you want to come on and discuss this topic, reach out. We'll have you on for sure. I'd love to have Flea on here, to be honest with you, but I don't know if he'd do it.
Well, I think we got one way to find out.
Yep.
Got to find his ass.
When's the last time you saw Flea on a podcast? Just saying.
Hey, don't be semantics.
The guy, he's a different breed, man. He's not that guy he does not want that attention.
But maybe that's what we need right now. Is someone that does want the, you know who the best people are in positions of power? The ones who don't want it.
Yeah, true.
The people who don't want it are the best ones to be in it. And maybe Flea's what we need right now.
We would be remiss if we did not go off the dirt a little bit and swing off Cletus's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about F1 first. And we're done.
In F1.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's done. There you go, Phil.
Yeah.
We got F1 for you.
So.
Hey, don't forget Squirrel McNutt too.
Yeah, Cletus and Squirrel McNutt raced the ARCA race at Rockingham. Yep. And I tell you what, nothing is bringing NASCAR fans together more than hating on Cletus. They are just can't get enough of this guy, of hating on this guy. I watched the ARCA race and I watched the O'Reilly race, and Cletus raced in both of them. George raced the ARCA race. They both did in the ARCA race. They both did about how I would expect them to. Cletus has enough races under his belt where you should be seeing some improvement, and you did. He finished fourth and raced his way to fourth. It didn't fall in his lap. He was passing cars out there, and that said, he made a couple mistakes, and then George stepped on his dick and still somehow finished ninth.
We've talked about it before. There's a vast equipment gap in that series.
Yeah. Now the haves and the have-nots in ARCA are miles apart.
Yeah.
And George was
and not taking anything away
car.
from George.
No.
Not taking anything away from Squirrel.
But
he drove like a squirrel.
He raced Hickory.
Yeah.
And drove like a squirrel at Hickory.
Yeah.
And he raced Rockingham, which is a much faster track that is, by all
bigger.
accounts, very hard, very hard to drive.
And they're faster than the O'Reilly cars there, apparently.
Yeah, he looked
faster
like a squirrel.
Times. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. He was a squirrel.
The O'Reilly race, again, I think Cletus did about how you would expect him to do. He didn't do great. He did not finish on the lead lap. He was not competitive. He was in the leader's way sometimes. But I think he showed some promise.
I think the biggest thing you could take away is that, yeah, he finished 6 laps down, but he only finished 6 laps down. He didn't break out. He completed the whole race, minus 6 laps.
Yeah, he ran every lap he could.
Yep.
And even Danny Stockman said, "You've changed my mind. I think you have a future in this. You just need to work at it." Which is from a guy who is not shy about sharing his opinion.
No. And he was
And you know,
all right, you've done the drag race stuff. All right, now focus on this. I think you can do something. That says something.
But here's the thing.
Here's the road.
Here's the flip side of that coin. They said that that was the highest rated ARCA race in something like 3 years. Something like 10 million views or something like that.
For the ARCA race?
Yes. Because Cletus and George were in it.
Not the O'Reilly race.
The ARCA race. Highest rated ARCA race in years is what they said.
10 million for an ARCA. Holy shit.
They live streamed it.
Oh, do you think they could have put YouTube at NASCAR anywhere else in Cletus's O'Reilly car?
I saw
It was
a meme
everywhere. The meme wasn't far off of reality.
Yeah, the meme, they wallpapered the inside of that car with the YouTube at NASCAR.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
So I mean, he's bringing eyeballs to a sport that desperately needs it. So you can't criticize that. You know, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing there, and I think NASCAR is doing what they're supposed to be doing there. You know, bringing people in that bring fresh ideas and fresh eyes to the sport.
So I saw that when Squirrel raced at Hickory, it broke the 10-year viewership record. At Hickory, when it was just Squirrel.
You might be right. I might be having
this weekend.
Thomas, I might be having my numbers wrong. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Most viewers in 10 years, not 10 million views.
And that was at Hickory. They did 175,000 viewers across NASCAR and Flow when McNutt raced at Hickory. So Hickory's a regional, not even the big region, and it was Squirrel, not Cletus.
I don't think there's going to be any doubt that NASCAR will clear Cletus for Talladega.
For ARCA, for sure.
No, I think for O'Reilly.
For O'Reilly, I think they're going to make him race one more time. And I think it's not because of his driving skill, but because they want him on the track again.
Maybe.
Because he has car control, obviously. I mean, he drifted 3 times at Rockingham in the O'Reilly car.
Yeah.
And didn't wreck. I mean, a lot of guys would have wrecked being as far yawed as he was. So
yeah, I think his drift car experience helped him out in both of those. I can't call him a spin because he didn't spin.
He didn't spin. He just got way loose.
And by the way,
he's got the car control. He just needs a racecraft.
Did you notice that his hauler was right next to Sheldon Creed's?
I did, and one of those was like, should I send a text message or
Yeah.
or let sleeping dogs lie? Yeah, I don't know. I decided not to say nothing about nothing. Yeah, I mean, Squirrel. I wish they'd put a camera on Squirrel's car too in the ARCA series, because they only had in cars and a few cars in ARCA.
Mhm.
And I mean, obviously, because they're like, well, you know, this guy's a nothing. Well, he's also Cleetus' right-hand man. And I think it would have taken away, it wouldn't have taken away from total viewers, but I think it would have split some of the viewership on the YouTube.
Give him
For
credit
guys that
where
are
credit's
watching
due. He did well, I thought.
I think he did very well at Rockingham
He's
in a not slouch car. He didn't wreck it, and he drove it 3 laps with a flat tire.
and here's the irony of that is this just shows how inexperienced he is. He didn't know he had a flat tire.
And he goes, yeah, I got vibration in here. Yeah, your tire's coming apart, dude. Hey, spotter said limping in. Just a couple more laps. You got this, bud. And I said, okay, I guess so.
All right, with that, I think we'll draw it to a close. This is kind of a different episode. I hope you guys liked it. We're gonna stick to the editing style that we did last time and see, because we got some decent feedback on that. If you like what you're seeing, let us know. If you hate what you're seeing, let us know.
If you think you can do better, come on and show us.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. If you hate it, hit that thumbs up twice.
Yeah?
There's thumbs down. Hit the thumbs down twice. Sorry.
We'll go back and forth. I don't care.
Our socials, you can see us on Facebook at Dirty Sliders. We are on X at dirty.sliders, Instagram at dirty_sliders, and on Patreon at patreon.com/Dirty Sliders Podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. We love you guys. Keep up the good work. And we'll get all 6 of us on here eventually.
Thank you for
Someday.
watching, guys. Maybe in the off season.